look, the first 3 quarters, feed me. Ty Lue just explained it. He just explained that, look, man, Shaq will get the ball, they'll feed it in the post. It's almost like a boxer going to the body for a couple of rounds, and then that opens everything else up, right? So Shaq is the body blows. What Shaq didn't want to do was shoot free throws late in the fourth quarter or in the fourth quarter at all. You know, he didn't trust himself that much to shoot them free throws, right? So he was like, look, man, feed me the first 3 quarters, man. Let's get these dudes in foul trouble. Let's compromise them a little bit, and then you can take over in the fourth. That's called being a closer. How many number ones do you know will make a deal with their number 2 to close the game for them? Imagine Malone saying, hey, the first 3 quarters is mine, Stockton, and the fourth is all you. Imagine Patrick Ewing saying, hey, the first 3 quarters is mine, but hey, John Starks, fourth quarter is all you. Imagine Charles Barkley saying that to somebody. Imagine Hakeem saying that to somebody. It didn't happen. Now imagine Shaq saying that to Kobe, and tell me why he would say that to Kobe. Because he was a real number 1, a real deal, scoring machine, killer, clutch player, clutch performer, all the above. He's all of that. Jordan couldn't do that to Pippen and say take over in the fourth. Jordan took over. Take the last shot. The fourth quarter was his. Clutch time was his. I don't care if the game was close in the second quarter. We need a shot. It's probably going to be Kobe. He was their clutch guy. I do know one guy who would let someone take over in the fourth quarter because he was a stone cold killer, and that was LeBron and Kyrie Irving. Ty Lue give the kid the shot against the Warriors in the final. We didn't see stuff like that with Jordan and Pippen, but we seen it with LeBron and Kyrie and Shaq and Kobe. Welcome back to Man Down Sports. As you can see from the thumbnail, Ty Lue had an interview he did on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp, and he touched on so many things, man. I mean, he went down the line of playing with Kobe and Shaq and playing with Michael Jordan and coaching LeBron and coaching against LeBron and, you know, even a little bit about Kawhi. I mean, this interview was jam-packed, and it was perfectly done the way Shannon Sharp, you know, kind of questioned everything. Like, he did a really good job in this interview. And then the questions, I mean, it wasn't a lot of small talk. And Ty Lue did a good job of getting the information out, responding to the questions and answering the questions and giving really good content. And it's so much they jam-packed in this 1 hour and a half, almost 2 hour episode that I couldn't dissect it in one episode. So you're going to see this morning, and this portion is just going to be the Kobe part, the Kobe and Shaq part. That's how many sound bites that came out of it. That was really good kind of break down. Then you go hear later on today the Michael Jordan portion of it. Based on what he's seen from him with the Wizards, and then you go hear some other things later on when it comes to KD and Steph and the Warriors and things of that nature, man. It was just too good. And that's not even everything. Like, I mean, he talked about Iverson. He talked about Kwame Brown. He gave Kwame Brown a lot of really good, a good praise, good praise, really. And talked about how things could have been a little bit different for him if it was different circumstances than him getting drafted to the Wizards playing with the GOAT, as a 17, 18-year-old kid, right? So a lot of different things. But this thing was good. And there's not a lot of time you get a perspective of a former player turned coach that has played with Jordan and Kobe and seen them up close, for full seasons or more than one full season. I interviewed Corey Blunt some years back, and I like his perspective because he did just that. He played with Jordan with the Bulls the year he came back from his first retirement. He played with Kobe in LA while he was young. Kobe was his rookie. And then, he played in Cincinnati in college. So, that's where he lived. So he was around all the LeBron hype that was going on. And of course, him going to Cleveland, he was in close proximity. So that perspective was unique as well. And I think we're going to get a really good perspective from Ty Lue, being that he played with Jordan with the Wizards when he was 40. and Kobe as a young buck, and then also coached against LeBron while he was with Boston on Doc Rivers' staff, and then he coached LeBron in Cleveland where he won his first championship. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. Sound bites. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna play and I'm gonna stop, and then we'll talk. You already know the deal, man. So but before I get started, make sure you hit the like button. If this is your first time seeing this channel or watching some of this content, make sure you subscribe if you enjoy the content, and also make sure you share the content as well. But most importantly, definitely make sure you hit the like button. All right, so let's get into this interview. I think this first thing that he was talking about, Shannon asked him about coaching Kawhi Leonard and what type of things Kawhi Leonard is taking from him and asking from him based on what he was able to pick up while being around Michael Jordan and Kobe.
You played alongside Kobe. You played alongside Jordan. Has Kawhi ever, because a lot of people say his game is very, very similar because he had the mid-range game. Both of those guys had tremendous mid-range games. Has he ever asked you any questions about Jordan and Kobe?
All the time. Yeah, all the time, especially when I first got here. And so going down to San Diego, a couple of summers and just working with him and just showing him that, the moves and the routines that me and Jordan did every single morning. Like we went to, we call it the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Get up, we lift weights, go to breakfast, get to the gym about an hour and a half early. And I went through the same post moves that Jordan went through every single day for 2 years. And so I knew his routine. And so I brought that to Kawhi and just kind of showed him footwork, how they did it, what they were looking for, how to take advantage of different, and so he really picked up on it. And it was crazy. We were talking about it like 4 days ago. Like, when you come back to San Diego, I was like, man, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? When you come back to LA.
But you might need to come to Vegas to get that in.
Yeah. So, but he got it down and just showing him all the different things that I learned from Jordan and Kobe and just the footwork and stuff. And he picked it up and he really embraces it.
Right.
All right. So little warm up, right? Little warm up. So and the reason why I even played that, because I like the fact that players like Kawhi Leonard, SGA, DeMar DeRozan, those guys are not letting the entire art of basketball die, or some parts of it die, because analytics and the new way that they're coaching is suggesting that it shouldn't be part of the game anymore, right? So the post game is super important. You only see really, as far as bigs, Zubac, Embiid, Jokic, out of 30 teams, or 32 teams, whatever the case may be. I forget how many it is. I get it mixed up with the NFL. But out of all these teams, you got three guys that's utilizing the post on a consistent basis and able to actually dominate from the post, right? 3. Right. And Zubac, he don't even get a lot of touches. And like this year was the first year he got a lot of touches where you can see his full arsenal. Right. And he's still not getting enough touches. Right. So that post game is just gone. Right. 3 guys out of 30 teams. That's insane. And then the mid range, you've heard people talk about how the mid range should be no longer. Like, that's the worst shot in basketball. Like, don't take it. Like, don't take the mid range. It's just and I don't understand that, right? So I always like that someone like Kawhi, who's a champion, is still like, nah, I'm doing this. But what I like about Kawhi as well is he's also taking a 3 as well, right? So he's doing a little bit best of both worlds, but that's what you should do. Like, you shouldn't leave a stone unturned. Like, you should do it all. Michael Jordan took 3s. He just didn't take a lot of them, right? But it ain't like, he was afraid to take him where you could just back off of him and give it to him, like a Ben Simmons or something like that. So for him to sit and say, hey, Ty Lue, man, you coach, you played with Mike and you played with Kobe. Like, what type of things were they doing? Like, how was they practicing? Like, he's asking, these are the type of questions Kobe would ask Michael Jordan directly, or ask people that had been around Mike about Mike, right? So he, indirect learning about Mike and directly. And then, of course, he's probably watching film as well. So that's a smart thing that you should do. But I wanted to point out that he also coached LeBron. Why didn't Kawhi, sit down with Ty Lue and be like, hey, man, what type of things is LeBron doing? Like, where he getting his shots from, and where his favorite spot at and what type of footwork he's on. I thought that was interesting to just point out that he didn't ask about LeBron. And maybe it's because they're peers and they're still playing in the same league together. So I get that. But Mike was playing in the same league with Kobe, and Kobe was still asking him. I think, so I think that's interesting. But that's not, I guess that's not a huge deal, but I thought it was noteworthy, right? Then he talked about Kobe's work ethic.
Kobe, you were close to Kobe, and did you guys played a lot of ones?
Yeah.
You get it?
Never, because this guy right here. So a funny story is, so my second year, I think 8th game of the season, I got hurt,
right.
So I had to get microfracture surgery.
Okay,
and Kobe broke his hand, and so when we got better, like, just rehabbing or whatever. So like for 3 months, me and Kobe worked out every single day. The team was on the road. It's just me and Kobe. And so me and my cousin Doodle, we would go to the gym and we would play one-on-one full court.
Right.
And I could never beat him. Like I could, because I was a great one-on-one player.
Right.
And so we be in the car, we get back and say, man, why you can't beat him? Like I said, man, I don't know. Like I just can't beat him. And then like 2 years later, he became Kobe. Like, oh, I see why, I see why I could never beat him, but like people don't get the chance to see, like, I mean, Kobe had a man handle like the ball on a string.
Yeah.
All that and one stuff and all, he had all that.
Right.
Like never lost a handle. Like we talk about guys like skill wise,
right.
He was one of the baddest guys like ever.
Did you know he would be that?
I did.
From working out with him, because like you said, you working out behind the scenes, and because I mean, everybody remember. I remember 17-year-old and Dale Harris getting an opportunity in Utah, and he airballing the last shot. That's what people like. Well, damn, I'm like, everybody keeps saying he gonna be good. He gonna be good. I'm like, well, damn. But I did factor in. I was like, dude's supposed to be a senior in high school, really though. I mean, he ain't supposed to be in the NBA. You could tell that he was gonna be that. He was gonna be Kobe.
Yeah, but not to factor in the air balls, to factor in he took those shots.
What
the mentality? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The mentality to take those shots.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because a lot of times people shy away from
they don't want it. Yeah, they don't want it. And I've seen that. And so at 17, 18 years old, to have the mentality to take those shots and shoot the air balls. Like the thing about Kobe, which is different, is I've never heard him talk about money. Like how much money he made or how much money. It was always about he wanted to be the greatest. Like I want to be the best. And to see the work he put in every single day, you can tell that's what he wanted to do.
Right.
And just from like being there at 5 o'clock in the morning, being the first guy there, working on his body. What 17-year-old guy, is working on their body, getting the soft tissue stuff, eating right.
Mature way beyond his years.
Yeah, like nobody's doing that.
Right.
And so to see all the stuff that he did at that age, it was just phenomenal. I knew he was going to be great. Like had no doubts about that. Just the work he put in and how hard he worked. It was going to happen.
But
right. So Kobe came into the league at 17, right? He couldn't even sign his Adidas deal. He was too young. He wasn't an adult. He couldn't sign that Adidas deal. His parents had to co-sign for him, right? Came in at 17. That's very young, right? Dude, my listen, I've seen I remember how I was at 17, right? In high school. Dude, just imagine being in the NBA. That is insane, dog. That is insane at 17, right? So you got to understand how good this guy was, right? But being wise beyond his years and being, advanced enough in your thought process that you're already taking care of your body. You're already getting treatment, and rightfully so, because his dad was a professional basketball player, so he'd been around that his whole life, and his dad was putting stuff in his head the right way. So kudos to Jelly Bring for raising him that way. So he came in very mature, very determined, and I think we should mention that a little bit more, because what he did is not normal, and then we kind of compare it to what LeBron did, but we compare it kind of the wrong way, because we compare it based on what Kobe averaged as a rookie versus what LeBron averaged as a rookie. But the times was different and the opportunity was different, and Kobe was paving a way, and LeBron, had the way paved for him. And the reason why I say that is because the guys that was coming out of high school before Kobe were mostly 6'9" and above, 6'10". They were big men. There was the the Garnetts and Sean Kipp even before Garnett. It was guys of that nature. I don't know if Jermaine O'Neal was before Kobe or not, but maybe not. But for the most part, the high schoolers was coming out were bigs. We felt like a big, could translate a little bit better than a guard. As a matter of fact, I remember it was one guard that was like 6'3", and he was phenomenal. I wish I could remember his name. Phenomenal. And he's one of the first guys that I remember reading about that entered the draft out of high school and didn't get drafted. And when you do that, your college eligibility is gone. You can't go to school after you enter the draft. You can't go to school. So this guy was like one of the top guys, but he was a guard around that Garnett time frame. And he wasn't a big guard. He was like 6'3", something like that. And he didn't get drafted. And that was it. I'm gonna look this guy up, man, because I need to reread that story. But that was the fear for guards coming out. But then Kobe did it. And then when Kobe did it, T-Mac did it. And then T-Mac and Sebastian Telfair and Sean Livingston, then you start seeing guards coming in. But that was a Kobe paved the way for that. And by the time it gets to LeBron, we've already seen success of T-Mac, success of Kobe, and the small success of Sean Livingston before he tore his knee up. Right. So it was a little bit easier. And mind you, T-Mac or Kobe didn't play. Like high schoolers, we just didn't throw them out there back then and say, just go play. This is your team. Go play. Right. So trying to make an apples to oranges comparison of Kobe's points per game his rookie season versus LeBron's points per game and say, oh, LeBron was ready, but Kobe wasn't. I think that's a misnomer. I think that's pretty bad. And I think people who know better don't do that. But I think people who want to argue the point in favor of LeBron and whatever argument you were having at that time, they would use that as an argument. And, I don't even waste my time trying to combat it. Right. So, but he's talking about his work ethic early at 17. He's talking about, he was advanced mentally and he was already working on his body, eating right, getting sleep, not partying, doing all that stuff right. And he said the mentality that he had. He said just for him to want to take those shots against Utah, he airballed 3 times in the playoffs. But this is an 18-year-old kid. Was he 19 at that time? No, he was 18. He was a rookie. 18-year-old kid. So, I just want you to put in perspective in high school, the way your body is developed. You're not a grown man, right? And you're playing against kids that are not grown men either. So what your body has to be ready for to play against kids, I think he was already ready for it. The amount of games you play in high school, around the time when your body starts to wear out a little bit, I think he can survive a season of a high school season all the way to the championship. But to be 17 and be playing no more than 30 games for a couple of months throughout the high school season, and then just flip it the next year to go into the league and playing 82 games and then going into the second round of the playoffs against Stockton and Malone and Utah in the 90s, the way they played physical and the way they played defense. You played a 18-year-old played 82 games and then went into the playoffs and made it to the second round. And the first thing we can really critique him about was airballing three jump shots and a 3-pointer in the second round of the playoffs at 18 after 82 games and 2 grueling series. So when people be like, oh man, he wasn't ready because he airballed, LeBron was ready. And I'm asking well, we've never seen LeBron in the second round of the playoffs as an 18-year-old in his rookie season. He didn't make it. So maybe his body would have broke down too. And Kobe explained it. He said, "Look, man, after I airballed, they was like, the shot felt good. I just didn't have no legs." He said, but by the time we got to the second round of playoffs, as an 18-year-old kid coming out of high school, he said his legs was not ready for that type of season, for a season like that, not a professional. He said his legs wasn't there. And he said he knew what he had to work on that summer. He said he had to get stronger. He had to get his legs, and he had to get his body ready to withstand an 82-game season plus playoffs, right? So that's normal, but I think that's noteworthy to mention, right? Then he talked about this. I think it was Bleacher Report that came out with a top 25 list or whatever, and they had Kobe at 11. I think it was Bleacher Report, but they talked about that as well.
I think I forget the outlet. They had Kobe ranked the 11th best player in the history of the game. You played with Kobe. You played in this league. You coached in this league for a number of years. The 11th best player?
I would never say that, but it's my era. I don't know, like back in the day, I can't speak on how great guys was back then because it's still like the TV outlets, the games wasn't on TV.
But yeah.
You heard about
the games were tape delayed until.
Yeah. So you never saw it.
Right.
But in my era, if I had to pick and choose and say, was he better than the guys back in the day? Oh, no question at all.
Right.
Like, no question. I mean, to win 5 championships, like I said, to win 2, without Shaq, we thought would never happen. And to do all the things he did, like, come on, man. Like, no, definitely not 11. That's crazy.
Had Shaq and Kobe stayed together, let's just say they would have had a harmonious relationship. I'm trying to think. It's hard to say because Stockton and Malone wasn't on that level. Stockton was the best player. There was no question about it. No ifs, and a but. It's hard to say Pippen and Jordan. Jordan was the best player. There's no ifs, and a but. But when you got 2 guys and you got 2 thoroughbreds and they're running and they looking eye to eye, I'm the best. No, I'm the best. I'm the best.
In the world. Not on a team.
Yeah. The world.
In the world, yeah.
Had they been able to coincide, let's just say for another 3 years, how many championships do you think they win?
They could have won 8. They could have won 8. And if, I know I wasn't there for the Detroit series or whatever, and I'm glad my best friend Chauncey got a championship. But, like, there was some bickering back and forth then. Like, they could have, easily won that. But if they had stayed together, they had won 7, 8 championships. Like, could nobody beat that dude? Like, somebody might have slipped up and won. Like, Detroit won, and they had a hell of a team. And the job they did was phenomenal. But okay, if you leave outside that year and come back the next 3, nobody's beating them.
If it had.
So look, listen. First of all, let's address the first part, the number 11 ranking for Kobe Bryant. We know that's fugazi, man. We know that's phony, right? Number 11 is you're not gonna find 10 guys better than Kobe Bryant. I mean, I can't find but one player better than Kobe Bryant. That's Michael Jordan. That's the GOAT, right? So there's one player that I've graded as high as Kobe, and it's Mike. I graded him higher than Kobe. But Kobe is the second highest graded player I've graded. Like, after observation and you observing the game and watching what their strengths and weaknesses are, watching how they respond under pressure, watching how they play on both ends of the floor, watching what their spot said, like, how simple they can make the game, all of those things, that the work you put in the summer and the off season and all this stuff, it comes out and it shows itself in the game, right? That's what it's supposed to be about. Like, if you take a test while you're in school, it's going to show what type of work you have been doing to be ready for that test, right? The grade will show. Have you been studying? You know what I mean? And then you have students that are just, the work is just so easy for them. They don't even got to put the work in and study. They just, got God-given talent. Those are your Shaqs. Shaq admit, man, I ain't put no work in. He said he didn't even care about his free throws on a recent podcast with Mike Bibby. I don't even care about my free throws. That's why I shot so bad. I ain't care about it. I just stopped caring. He talked about Pat Riley getting on him about his diet, and he tried to compare him to Alonzo Mourning. He said, I eat cheeseburgers. I don't eat salads like Zoe. I eat cheeseburgers. If you got a problem with it, that's what I'm gonna do. I average 39 against Zoe. That's what he said. He said that to Pat Riley. I don't know if that's true, but he said that to Pat Riley. Right. So you got people who are just naturally gifted and don't have to put their work in. Then you got people that are both, like Michael Jordan, naturally gifted and they putting in their work in. Right. And that's what Kobe was, even though he wasn't as naturally gifted as a LeBron, Shaq, or Mike. He put the amount of work in that Mike did and probably more. And he was probably a little bit less gifted, but he was still gifted. I mean, it ain't like he was Kerry Kittles or something like that. He was still gifted as an athlete and gifted physically, but he didn't just rely on that. You know, he took it the extra mile and put the work in. So imagine a smart guy that's naturally smart, that's also studying his butt off. When it come time to take that exam or that test, it's going to show, right? You know, so he gets the A+ and Shaq might get the B+ or the A, right? But you know, it is what it is, right? So, but that's what I feel like when I watch games. I watch games, and I'm like, that's the test. The game is the test, and how you play it, and how you play it under pressure, and how you play it in every situation. You know, that's the test for me. I don't care if it's the Olympics. I don't care if it's the All-Star game. I don't care if it's Rucker Park. I don't care if it's the regular season, playoffs, or the finals. You know, or practice. You know, I want to see that. I want to see that dog, and Kobe always brought it, right? So, I don't think he's a number 11 ranked player of all time. I can't think of 10 people ahead of LeBron. I mean, ahead of Kobe Bryant. I can't think of 10. I can only think of one, like I said. And Ty Lue agrees, but you know, he didn't give it much. You know, he didn't give it much thought because, I mean, come on, this is silly. Well, I mean, we know what Kobe is, right? Then he asked him how many wins would they have run if they stayed together. That's the big question. I mean, because I was talking on my show yesterday, and I think I had a caller that called in. I think it was Young Disciple, and he talked about comparing Scottie Pippen to Jokic, and I told him I don't compare number ones and number twos with their accomplishments, because the point I was making is that winning 6 rings is more impact than winning less than that, right? You know, because you know, this started from the CBS list that had Kobe at number 6 and had Jokic and Curry above him on a not even an all-time list, the 21st century list, the best in the 21st century that Jokic only played 7 years in. They had Kobe below him on that list, right? And then the verbiage that they wrote in, as a matter of fact, I'll show you the verbiage they wrote. They said something about how him being better than Shaq, and it said that Nikola Jokic is a better basketball player now than Shaquille O'Neal ever was. Then it said Jokic is just on another level in terms of everything he brings and overall impact. And my argument was that overall impact means winning. Like there's no other impact means what was the result, right? That's what impact, what you did, what impact did it have on the final results? So winning is the impact. There's no other impact. Your triple doubles are not the impact. What your triple doubles led to in terms of wins and losses is the impact, right? So what is the impact? And I told him, I said, the 4 rings that Shaq got is more impact than the 1 ring that Jokic got. And if you don't count, you know, the ring, because I think the 21st century, you know, they're not counting 99, 2000, I don't think. And I think that's when they got their first ring. So the 3 rings that he got in the 21st century is more impact than the 1 ring that Jokic got. Not even the 3 MVPs that Jokic got versus Shaq's 2, I would even take into account, because that's not impact to me. Impact is measured by the results of wins and losses, not what you did personally. You get what I'm saying? So back to them winning 8, because Ty Lue said they probably would have won 8 together if they stayed together. It's possible. It's very possible, because so that conversation bled into when I said that Shaq had more impact because he won more. Then he asked me, so does that mean Pippen had more impact than Jokic? And I didn't want to deal with that question because I didn't want him to build a straw man and then we end up arguing whether Pippen is a number, is whether Pippen should be measured by what Jokic is doing as a number one. I don't think in this case you should, because then you go try to take that to another person and use that same logic, another number two. So what does that mean for I don't know, any other number two, right? So I just tried to kill the argument and say I don't put number ones and number twos and compare them. I don't do that. And then he was like, oh, got you, right? Got you. So what does that mean for Kobe? Because he was a number two with Shaq. And that's why I'm getting to the point. Kobe wasn't a number two, right? I don't mean number twos in terms of by default. I mean in play level and attitude, right? Everything that comes with being a number one, Kobe was that. I don't think everything that comes to being a number one, you get from every number two that played the number two. I don't think Pippen ever challenged Mike for the number one of that team. I don't think he could. I don't think Stockton ever challenged Malone for the number one. Right? Ever so often, you get situations, and it's always an exception to every rule. Ever so often, you get a Magic and Kareem situation. Those are two number ones. Magic Johnson's rookie year, Kareem won the MVP. So that's a situation where you got two number ones. What do you do when you get two number ones where their thought process is one? You get two of them on the team. That's a Magic Kareem, that's a Shaq Kobe, and possibly a Duncan David Robinson. Right? So what happens is one of them is older, there's an age gap, and the younger one has to, by default, I just got here. This was his team. I got drafted here. He was here first. So by default, especially when it's a big little was a big man in a guard situation, because the ball was played in the post so much. Right? So I just got here. I got to fall back. So Magic fell back a little easier than what Kobe did. And then at some point, the age of the older guy gets to the point where this young guy is reaching his prime, and I'm getting toward the end of my prime as the old guy, and it gets to the point where I got to pass the baton. He becomes the number one, and I become the number two. Right? So that transition for Magic and Kareem was a little different because Magic waited his turn. There was even an interview when he was explaining where Pat Riley came to him in a series and said, I need you to score more this series. But as a matter of fact, no. He did it before the season started and said, I need you to score more this season. And the first thing that Magic said is, did you run that by Kareem first? Because I don't want to step on no toes. And he said, yeah, I ran it by Kareem. Right? So I think it was a little different between Magic and Kareem, and with Kobe and Shaq, it wasn't like that, because Shaq's ego was, and I think Kareem's was like that too, but I think Magic's ego wasn't as big as Kobe's was. So Shaq's, and then plus Shaq wasn't working hard. Kobe was outworking Shaq. I don't think it ever became a time where Magic felt like, I'm putting on all this hard work and he's not. I'm dieting, I'm eating right, he's not. I don't think it was some. So Kobe's looking at this guy that's playing around. He's not dieting. He's not working out in the off season. He's coming back in the camp out of shape. He's playing his way in shape halfway through the season. And all of this nonsense. And this is the guy that's supposed to be the leader. And I'm out here working my butt off. That's a different dynamic, right? But nonetheless, Ty Lue said if they could have figured out a way to keep that thing together, they probably get 8 championships. So let's unpack that. 8 championships. All right. Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan is the GOAT. So that's a big number one to have. Scottie Pippen might be the GOAT number two that we've ever seen. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm not counting Kobe as a number two. I'm not counting Magic as a number two, but legit number twos, I think Scottie Pippen, the legit co-stars, I think Scottie Pippen is the best. Right. So those are two high individuals, but that ain't nothing like two number ones, Shaq and Kobe, the most dominant player and the second best player I've ever seen. Third greatest, because his resume don't stack up with Kareem's, but third greatest player, but second best player I've ever seen or observed or graded. So you got Shaq and Kobe, the most dominant and the second best player I've ever seen on one team, number one in their prime. Two number ones. So if Scotty and Mike can get a three-peat and then take 2 years off and then get a second three-peat, I'm wondering if Shaq and Kobe, I mean, because if you think about it, they three-peated and then they lost to Detroit. And then Shaq got in shape to go to Miami. And when he got in shape to go to Miami, he won one with D Wade. I'm thinking if Shaq would have got in shape, because he wasn't in shape when he played Detroit. That was the biggest, I think that was probably the biggest he ever was until after he left Miami. Because he was pretty big in Boston and Cleveland and Phoenix as well. But the biggest he was in LA was that year they lost to Detroit. They ran Shaq out the gym, right? If he would have got motivated and got in shape and came back, even if they didn't win that next year, you know, because the San Antonio Spurs, they did the same thing. They'll win one, you know, they might go to 2 straight, but win one, then they take a couple of years off, and the next thing you know, they back in the finals again winning. You know, so, you know, I think Tim Duncan won in 3 different decades. Right. Could Shaq and Kobe return to form and get back to the finals? I think that's possible. I think they take a year or two off to figure it out. Maybe they got to move some pieces around, but if Shaq stayed in shape and stayed motivated, boom, Shaq and Kobe would be right back in there. And then that transition of Shaq falling back, because he said he admitted that when he got to Miami, he told Wade, "This your team." Right? So if he would have just did that normal transition that Kareem and Magic did, where Shaq said, "Okay, Kobe, this your team now," and then the hierarchy changes. Yeah, maybe they get another three-peat with Phil. Right? Maybe they get another three-peat. So I mean, Ty Lue said 8. And then you also got to think about this. If Shaq was, you know, healthy enough and in shape enough and still good enough to win one with D Wade when he got in shape in Miami, and then after he won that, it took Kobe another 3 years to get a co-star. And I might be wrong about those days. It might be longer than 3 years, but it took him a little while before he got Powell. Right? So when Powell finally got there, Kobe was still in his prime enough to go to 3 straight finals with Powell. He went to 3 straight finals with Powell. So if Shaq got one with Wade in Miami, I'm sure he could get one with Kobe if he would have stayed. So that would have been 4. And then they went to 3 straight. Kobe went to 3 straight 3 years after that with Powell. So if Shaq is there, I think Kobe probably he got 2 with Powell. So they at 4 now. Boom, 5 and 6. I think they probably they could have done it together. I really do. And then he went to 3 straight with Powell. Lost 1, 1-2. Maybe they win that with Shaq. You know what I mean? So Ty Lue is not lying. It's a very good possibility that they could get 8 rings if they would have stayed together. Now, it would have been a lot of ego checking to be done, because that transition wasn't going to happen very smooth of passing the baton like it did with Magic and Kareem. It wasn't going to happen smooth. It even happened smooth with David Robinson and Tim Duncan. And it happened very quick with Tim Duncan and David Robinson. Very quick. right? But David Robinson don't have a huge ego like that. Neither does Tim Duncan, right? So Tim Duncan and David Robinson was the opposite of what Shaq and Kobe was. Shaq and Kobe both had ego up here, and David Robinson and Duncan ego was down here, right? So that was very different. And I think Kareem and Magic is in the middle. I think Kareem's ego was big, but I think Magic was not that big. He was. I mean, it was big, but not big enough for him to clash with Kareem. He made that clear very quick. So that's an interesting thought to have, man. 8 rings is crazy. He said that they was the 2 best in the world at the time. I mean, I think Tim Duncan might have an argument. Like I said, when I did my 21st century top 3, it was Shaq, Tim Duncan, and Kobe. Not in that order though. Kobe was 1, Shaq was 3. So I had Kobe, Duncan, then Shaq, but Kobe, Shaq, then Duncan. Any order actually you can't be wrong. You can't be wrong in any order as long as you got those 3 for the 21st century. So at that time, yeah, the 2 best players in the league was on the same squad, and they both was in their prime, and they had the best coach in the league as well. That's phenomenal. So yeah, 8 rings was possible. And then we talking about something different now. And I think Kobe couldn't wait to start his journey and his legacy. He couldn't wait because he heard the whispers of he's a sidekick, he's a Scottie Pippen, and he wanted everybody to know, I'm like Mike. And I couldn't show y'all that playing behind Shaq. And naturally it's possible that they could have changed the guards and he could have showed us that he was the number 1 and Shaq could have fell back. But he couldn't take that risk of not knowing and not proving it 100% that he was the number 1, right? Because there will always be questions, which is unfair because nobody questions Magic and Kareem in that situation, and nobody questioned Duncan and David Robinson either. Nobody. They just so it's a little bit different. But let's keep going.
In a situation, I think the best situation we can use in this situation, T-Lou, is Kareem and Magic. People don't realize this, but Magic's rookie year, Kareem was MVP.
Right.
Magic was Finals MVP.
Right.
But as they started to progress, Pat Riley said, "I need more from you." He called him Buck. Mm-hmm. That's what he called young Buck. Yeah. He says, "I need more scoring from you." Magic asked Pat Riley to his face, "You run that by Cap?" Did you clear that with Kareem?
Right.
Kareem, he gonna get that thing down the block. He said, "I'd run it by him." If they could have had that type of relationship, I don't think nobody beat them.
No.
I think they might like the Bulls won 3 and then took 2 years off. Yeah. If they'd have had a Kareem and Magic type of relationship, I don't think nobody could beat them.
No, and I'm mad they didn't. I'm mad because that was greatness. Like,
and we might have never see that again.
No, never.
Because it's a perfect situation, T-Lou, because you got a big and a little.
Right.
It's a guard and a center.
Yeah.
And you're never gonna get somebody Kobe skill with Shaq dominance.
Right.
You saw it.
Right.
I'm glad I saw it.
Me too. I'm glad I was a part of it.
You got an opportunity to see it up close and personal. How dominant was it on every night? Shaq gonna give you 30, Kobe gonna give you 27.
Yeah.
Kobe gonna go score 40, Shaq gonna give you 30 and 20.
Right.
To watch that every night. And because back then, teams have about 4 or 5 bigs, because 2 bigs, he fouled them out.
Wow. That's easy. That's
barbecue chicken.
Yeah, foul trouble the first 3 minutes. Like, the starting center is out of the game in the first 3 minutes. And what they don't understand is when you go to Hack-a-Shaq, which is cool, now you in a bonus with 6 minutes to go. Now Kobe goes to work. So any hand check, Kobe's going to the free throw line. So like, man, come on, man. Like, it just was, he was just so dominant. That's why, like, when you walk into an arena or you go on the road, like, can't nobody beat us.
Yeah.
Like, like, we got Kobe and Shaq. No matter how things go, how bad I'm playing, or D-Fish or Rick, it don't matter, B-Shaw, we don't got to make a shot. We know we got at least 70 coming from these 2 guys. And back then, you was only scoring 80. So we got to get 10 points, between
the two. Yeah. Between the other 7 of us.
Yeah. So shit, like it don't matter. Like they gonna get 70. All you gotta do is get 10. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
it
insane.
didn't matter, man. And so like that's how great they were. Like, but like a lot of teams have a 1-2 punch, or these are the best two players in the world on the same team.
Yes.
When has that ever been done?
He said he said a lot of teams got a 1-2 punch, right? He said this one a 1-2 punch. This is the two best players in the world on one team in their prime. That's insane. To walk into a game and know that it's a big game and I can count on 30 from each of these dudes and possibly 35 from each of them. I can count on 70 points from them some type of way. Shaq could get 40, Kobe get 30 or vice versa. That's what type of stuff they was dealing with. And then I can't stress this enough. They both were number ones. I know one of them is the number one and one is the number two by default, but I'm telling you, you know the difference between a legit number one and a legit number two. If a number one has to fall back just for everything to operate properly and work, I get that. But listen, if it's a such thing as two number ones on one team, this is the example. Kobe and Shaq is the exception to all the rules of talking about number ones, number two. Those were two number ones, right? And they figured out, they made it work some type of way. Shaq was kind of explaining that on Mike Bibby's podcast.
So I took pride in driving Kobe crazy. Because you have puppies? Anybody have puppies? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you ever have a puppy that bites and you go like that and he comes back? Now you know you got to kill a dog, right? So as a youngster, he always wanted to be the man, and I tell him, "You ain't the man, I'm the man," and that would drive him crazy. So people always like, "Oh, he worked 5, 6, 7 hours a day." That's because he had to. Because when he came in, he wasn't Kobe. You remember? Yeah. You remember? Yeah. So I would drive. You're not that good. You're not gonna be that good. You'll never be the man. I drove him crazy because I knew what I had. Because a lot of guys on the team didn't want what he wanted. A lot of people talk about the Utah game where he shot the 3 air balls. Nobody wanted to take that shot, but he wanted to take that shot. So now I knew I got somebody with the same mentality to me. So I would drive him crazy. So I would challenge him, and he would always step up to it. Like I say, "Hey man, I need 40 today," and he would do it. The last game on TNT, I said, "Hey Kobe, I need you to get 50," and he went out and got 60. Yeah. That was our whole career. We didn't get along because as a big guy, I like to touch the ball. And as a guard, you like to touch the ball. So all the little riffs we had, that's normal on every team. I'm sure C-Web got mad when you came off the pick and then kick it back. That's normal. But Earthlings think, "Oh, what's the problem?" It wasn't a problem. Just like, "Hey, you get it to me first." Yeah. You're like, "No, I'm going to do what I do." So, but we never disrespect each other. And then we figured out, let me go first 3 quarters, and then fourth quarter is all yours. I don't even want the ball fourth quarter in case I'm missing free throws. So once we figured out our formula, it was in. I just get frustrated when people talk about the GOATs of the game and his name is not mentioned. Like I don't care who you pick, whether it's Michael, LeBron, or Kobe, but just mention all the names. Yeah. That's all. Just mention all the names. So it's just like they just surpassed him up and went from Mike to LeBron and they left him out. So I would like to hear all the recipients and then let the people pick.
Yeah.
So the key thing that he said is they figured it out, because at first they was trying to figure out how they was gonna work this. It's two bullheaded guys. It's two guys with a huge egos. It's two number one mindsets. And Shaq wanted the ball. Hey, I'm the big, feed the big dog, come down low first. And Kobe was like, "Nah." Remember, Kobe's famous for saying, "Hey, look, if you ain't working your butt off, man, you better get the ball off the rebound because I'm shooting it." You know what I mean? And then he said that they got a understanding. Look, the first 3 quarters, feed me. Ty Lue just explained it. He just explained that, look, man, Shaq will get the ball, they're feeded in the post. It's almost like a boxer going to the body for a couple of rounds, and then that opens everything else up, right? So Shaq is the body blows. You got 3 bigs. Your starting center might be might be running the offense through him, but I'm gonna get him 2 quick fouls early. Bring on the second guy. He go get some fouls as well, and then they're gonna have to play me a little bit softer now, because they piling up fouls, right? And what Shaq didn't want to do was shoot free throws late in the fourth quarter or in the fourth quarter at all. He didn't trust himself that much to shoot them free throws, right? So he was like, "Look, man, feed me the first 3 quarters, man. Let's get these dudes in foul trouble. Let's compromise them a little bit, and then you can take over in the fourth. That's called being a closer. How many number ones do you know will make a deal with their number two to close the game for them? Imagine Malone saying, hey, the first 3 quarters is mine, Stockton, and the fourth is all you. Imagine Patrick Ewing saying, hey, the first 3 quarters is mine, but hey, John Starks, fourth quarter is all you. Imagine Charles Barkley saying that to somebody. Imagine Hakeem saying that to somebody. It didn't happen. Now imagine Shaq saying that to Kobe, and tell me why he would say that to Kobe. Because he was a real number one, a real deal, scoring machine, killer, clutch player, clutch performer, all the above. He's all of that. Jordan couldn't do that to Pippen and say take over in the fourth. Jordan took over, take the last shot. I mean the ball was in Kobe's hand against Portland when that famous alley-oop he threw to Shaq. You get what I'm saying? The fourth quarter was his. Clutch time was his. I don't care if the game was close in the second quarter. We need a shot. It's probably going to be Kobe. He was their clutch guy. I do know one guy who would let someone take over in the fourth quarter because he was a stone cold killer, and that was LeBron and Kyrie Irving. Ty Lue, give the kid the shot against the Warriors in the finals. We didn't see stuff like that with Jordan and Pippen, but we seen it with LeBron and Kyrie and Shaq and Kobe. And I want y'all to think about why.
If you were the coach, let's just say I'm going to make you Phil Jackson, and you're the coach of Shaq and Kobe, how do you keep them together? How do you make peace?
Whatever it takes. No, seriously, you can't lose that. Like, that changes people's lives forever.
Ever.
You know, not just Shaq and Kobe, what Phil's already Phil,
Right.
you know, but the organization,
Right.
all of us role players, like, you know, so like that changed our lives forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like you keep those guys together and you get a chance to win 6, 7, 8 championships, like in LA.
Right.
Like, come on, man. Like, no better thing. And so whatever I had to do, whatever I had to say, I was gonna do it. You know, and so you had to. Like, there's no way you can lose Shaq.
Right.
Like, you know, they had to stay together. And so that was just very disappointing, you know, especially all the success that we had.
Right.
It was disappointing to see that happen.
I think the thing for me is that Shaq replaying in his mind saying he wish he had done things different, because he knows he left at bare minimum, he left 2 championships with the Lakers on the court. He knows that.
Right.
He knows it.
I think more than that. But
yes,
at minimum.
at minimum.
Yeah.
And so now he sees all these guys winning MVPs and winning titles, and he's like, and people start talking about, well, he's up there. He's like, hold on, wait a minute, y'all forgot about me.
I don't know how. Yeah, I mean, there's never, like I said, it's never going to be a player like Shaq ever again.
No,
you know?
no, not that size, not that athleticism,
No.
not that dominant. No,
never.
No.
And so, like I said, I just sad that it happened, you know, the way it did, because they were supposed to be together forever,
right?
You know, in my eyes, you know,
what was Kobe like in practice? Because everybody say, like, look, I mean, Lou will tell the story that he made them take off his shoes because they were bull jiving in the game. They didn't play hard. What was he like in practice? Because we heard the Last Dance, Jordan, you know, how he swung on Steve Kerr, that he was not afraid to approach guys, get in guys' face to make sure everybody was giving their best effort, not in the game, but practice. What was Kobe?
What you saw in the game?
That's how
Kobe. Every single day. Every single day. He wanted to be the best player every single day in practice, in the game. And that's just how he competed, you know. And so every time we got a new player, like, you know, Glenn Rice, and Glenn Rice was a bad dude, you know, Kobe wanted to play one-on-one to show him, like, this is my team. You know, we got J.R. Ryder, same thing. Like, J.R. Ryder got there. He wanted to play him one-on-one, show him this is my team. Like, used to, you know, because
you used to be mad over there, but not here.
Yeah. And so that's just who he was. Like, competed every single possession, every sprint, every drill. Like, he wanted to be the best. And that's no bullshit. Like, it's every single day he was the same person. What you see in the game, you saw in practice every single day.
So I like that soundbite as well. because it reminds me of a lot of things what people say about Michael Jordan. Like, you hear John Sally, you hear Rodman. A lot of people say that Michael Jordan was always first on the sprints, everything. I think it was a little different when they did the Indian run because on that second three-peat, because they said no one was more conditioned as far as running than Dennis Rodman. So he would run circles around people, but Michael Jordan would be right there. But with the sprints and every other thing, Michael Jordan was trying to be first in everything. And that's something, I mean, you born with it, you develop it, whatever the case may be. I mean, some people just got it, some people just don't. Some people want to, they just competitive like that. So everything is a competition. And he's saying, Kobe worked just like that. So it sounds like he's saying that him and Michael Jordan is one and the same. What you see on the in the game is what you saw in practice, right? So that's consistent across the board with those two guys. But he said that no matter who showed up, like a couple of times they would bring insurance policies for Kobe just in case he got hurt, right? 1 year they brought in Isaiah Rodder, 1 year they brought in Glenn Rice, 1 year they brought in Mitch Richmond. And in a recent interview on Byron Scott's podcast, Mitch Richmond said that he didn't play much, but he was the insurance policy for Kobe in case, they needed to throw a score in there. Everything could still operate if Kobe had to miss time or something like that, right? But Kobe had the mentality of as soon as you get to the prison yard, if you want to establish yourself, go punch the biggest, baddest bad boy in the prison and go over, knock him out. Show everybody now I'm not to be played with. And it seemed like Kobe had that approach when newcomers came to the team, because he would always challenge them to play one-on-one just so he can destroy them, right? So and I don't know what that does mentally. I don't know if that lets him know what the hierarchy is and the pecking order, but I guess that was his way of doing it. I thought that was interesting. The reason why I think it's interesting is because it lets you know what type of thought process he had and what his mentality was and why it worked so well in LA with Shaq, because Shaq had a different mentality, right? And they clash. And I did a podcast talking about Tracy McGrady when he said that if he was in LA, he would have got them rings as well. It's how good you are as a player, T-Mac, there's no doubt that you probably would get a ring. But going to 4 straight and 3-peating, I don't foresee. And the reason why I said that is I said the non-basketball stuff, the competitiveness, the willingness to challenge Shaq, the willingness to clash with Shaq, the ability to put up with the type of pressure that Shaq was trying to put on him and the type of resistance that Shaq was putting on him. All of those things, the handling LA, being so resilient, the way Dale Harris was doing you, that you still survived that, being disciplined at such a young age, because T-Mac actually said that he got disciplined by studying Kobe and getting advice from Kobe. Kobe had already had that discipline. So throwing T-Mac in that environment, it's kind of like, they say that, the same sun that makes the flower grow hardens the clay. You get what I'm saying? So, that is that type of thing. Like what LA was with Shaq and all that structure there, and the way it was structured may have done something different to T-Mac than it did to Kobe. Kobe flourished in that like a flower. It might have hardened T-Mac like the clay. You never know. And Ty Lue evidently has that same thought process, or he watched the Man Down Sports, because he kind of said the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot being said, and I think T-Mac said it first, that had he been on that Lakers team, that he believed they'd have won as many championships as Shaq and Kobe. Shaq co-signed what he said. And a lot of people are like, come on, bro. Everybody just got revisionist history now.
Right.
And not to say T-Mac wasn't a good, but do you believe they would have won as many championships? Because I hate when people do this, T. Lue.
Yeah.
A great player Well, if you'd have put him on that team, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
It doesn't work like that. But I think they definitely would have won. Like, I don't know what degree, but T-Mac he had no weaknesses. Defensively, he can guard 1, 2, 3, 4. He's 6'9".
Right.
Offensively, run, pick and roll, make the right pass, make the right play, post up, either shoulder, turnaround jump shot, mid-range pull-ups, can finish, athletic. And like I said, I think with coaching and I think being in the triangle, like I said, Whitfield, he would have flourished. Like, he definitely have flourished. And then you got Shaq, who's like I said, the best player in the world, but like I don't know if like it's just hard to compare.
It
is. What I'm saying? But like what Cole brought every single day, with the mentality that he had every single day, like you got to bring that, and you had to have that and bring it to Shaq every day.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if T-Mac could have done that.
Right.
Like,
because you got to push Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq. And so Cole pushed Shaq every day. So like, if T-Mac could he have done that? I mean, I don't know that. But as far as talent wise, I mean, he was, like I said, one of the most talented guys we've seen in this game. So I think he definitely would have won. But it's not the talent and the court stuff. It's the challenging Shaq every day, calling Shaq out when he's, when he's not doing what he's supposed to do. When Shaq calls you out, can you handle it? You know, all that stuff plays a part. And then having Phil Jackson as well. Right. So I think like I said, it could have happened. For sure.
I think Phil, not to say Phil doesn't know, but I think Phil does a great job of managing egos. Yes. I think that's his greatest thing is that when you got Jordan, but I don't think Jordan had a rival. Jordan didn't have an equal in Chicago. So it was easy. I mean, Pippen might say that I was just as good as Jordan. I could have been this and that. That's fine to say now. But Kobe really felt that he was on Shaq's level. Right. Shaq really felt that that Kobe. So you got these two horses like that, and Phil had to somehow juggle that. T.
I'll tell you how he did it.
How he did.
Day one, he came in and he went at Kobe and Shaq about everything they had to do to be better for this team to win, and he coached them harder than he coached us. Like, we never really we had film sessions. Yeah. It was all Kobe and Shaq. It wasn't never Rick Fox. It wasn't never Harper. It wasn't never Horace Grant.
Really?
No, it wasn't. It was always Kobe and Shaq. What y'all need to do. What you need to do. What you didn't do, how you didn't do it. And so he was hard on those guys that first year, like every single day, like on Kobe and Shaq, on Kobe and Shaq. And so if you get your top two players and your best players to buy in, yes, what are we gonna do? Right. You got no choice. Yeah, got no choice. And that's how he did it. And that's how he led. And so it just made it easy. Like D-Fish and those guys, they didn't worry about nothing. It was Kobe and Shaq.
I played that last part. And I really think that's important, and that's the end of it. So this will be the last thing I comment on, but I really think it's important what he just said toward the end when he said Phil Jackson from day one he came in and everything was about getting Shaq and Kobe in line and critiquing them and criticizing them and challenging them and pointing out what they did wrong and their flaws and what they could do better. He said doing film study. It was all about Shaq and Kobe, what you didn't do, what we need to correct with that, not so much the role players. And I thought that was fascinating because they don't leave no room for your best players to make excuses. And I did a show earlier this year on when LeBron James was on Mind the Game with, I don't know if it was Steve Nash or JJ Redick. I'm not sure, but he blanked. Now, mind you, you got Shaq and you got Kobe, and Ty Lue just said Phil came in film study, and all the film study was about Shaq and Kobe, what you did wrong, and the role players was in chill mode. But what they did is, if those two have to fall in line, then everyone under them have to fall in line. So you was actually doing, by challenging them, you was actually challenging everybody, but you challenged them. And later on today, when I go live, you will hear how Ty Lue talks about something different when he had to challenge LeBron during the Game 7 against the Warriors, and LeBron didn't take it well. We're going to get to that part. But on Mind the Game, LeBron said that the reason why they didn't win that first year in Miami is because of the role players. And I'm looking at LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. And I'm hearing the leader of that bunch blamed the role players. After I've just heard Ty Lue said that Phil Jackson came in and all his finger pointing was at Shaq and Kobe. I thought that was real interesting to point out, man. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in this morning. Like I said, I will break down how Ty Lue actually discussed his time with Michael Jordan in Washington. And you'll probably see that later on today. And then I also be live in the evening to go over the last parts of it when he got on what he said about LeBron and his time in Cleveland, and then also what he said about KD, Steph, and the Warriors. Very interesting. Ty Lue, this interview was insane. So y'all see those so you're gonna see this this morning. You'll see the Michael Jordan portion in the early afternoon, and then in the evening I'll be live so we can discuss the final parts of it, and I can take some phone calls, and then we'll actually get through the rest of this rundown because I think that'll be a good show. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Be looking out for the next video. We discuss Michael Jordan. All right, thank you.